Mo kí gbogbo wa pé ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ìkànnì wa tí a mọ̀ sí Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorsteps. Ẹ káàárọ̀ gbogbo ilé, àtúkù bójú ọjọ́ ṣe rí ní gbogbo ibikíbi tí a bá ti ń láǹfààní àti darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí ìkànnì aláyọ̀, ìkànnì ológo, ìkànnì tó ń sọ fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá pé kò sí ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ kankan tá a ṣẹ̀ ju pé a wà ní the wrong country tí àwọn òyìnbó create fún wa, and we are going to do everything possibly best láti exit country náà. But ká tó lè exit ẹ̀, we all have a role to play, and being the role tèmi play ó ṣeéṣe kó yàtọ̀ sí role tí ẹlòmíì náà máa play. So gbogbo ìgbà tá a bá ń jáde báyìí léraléra kò ṣe pé torí pé fún dìkan àbí dìkejì, it's just that everybody is playing a role. Bàbá Kítóyè ní role tí wọ́n tó ń play, media tèmi ní role tèmi ń play, world media ní tiẹ̀ tó ń play, YSDM ní role tí wọ́n tó ń play. Kódà ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń gbọ́ wa gan, ẹ ní role láti play. Ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ sọ fẹ́lòmíì tó ì tí ì mọ̀ nípa self-determination, torí kò yí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn wa gbogbo ìgbà tá a bá ń sọ pé self-determination. A lot of people don't understand, the meaning. So I'm just getting ready, torí in another 20 minutes a máa darapọ̀ mọ́ the Starr radio láti fi gbọ́ news tó ń bọ̀ láti bẹ̀. So while I'm preparing for that, mo kí ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ti ń sọ pé good morning, èmi náà kí yín. Ẹ ṣé gan ni bàbá wa Balógun Lateef, ẹni good morning my brother from another mother, Yorùbá nation no going back. Tá bá ń sọ pé Yorùbá nation, ṣẹ́dá àwọn kan máa fi wá rẹ́rìn pé kí lẹ mean by that, kò lè bọ́ sí. Mo máa ní ẹ má bá wọn argue, kò sí point ká máa bá ẹlẹ́dẹ̀ jà, wọ́n máa dọ̀tí gbogbo ara wa. Whether they like it or not, the end of Nigeria ní gbogbo àjọ wà. Nigeria ò lè exist bó ti ṣe exist tẹ́lẹ̀ rí, torí pé kí ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àṣírí ló ti ń tú nínú Nàìjíríà. Ìkànnì very dark man ń fà lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ nísìn pẹ̀lú bọ̀bọ̀ àti EFCC. Tó bá jẹ́ pé Mr. Balógun, Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kí gbogbo wa lọ sẹ́wọ̀n, tó bá jẹ́ pé òun ni ó ṣàṣemáṣe, ṣé ó lè lọ sí private accommodation kó máa sùn mọ́jú? Ìlú yìí gan sef, ìlú yìí tí bá ṣàṣemáṣe mo gbọ́dọ̀ lọ sí prison, kò ń ṣe pé wọ́n máa lọ fi mí sí private accommodation tí màá máa sùn tí màá máa jí. So a lot of things have gone wrong in Nigeria. So gbogbo exposition tó ń jáde ní gbogbo back to back, left and right, ẹ ṣe kó máa lọ bẹ́ẹ̀. Ṣe ilé táwa náà gbé dání látara pé a fẹ́ ṣí àwọn èèyàn ní ọkàn pé kò sí nǹkan kan tó ń jẹ́ Nàìjíríà. Brother mi Yẹmí Fátókè, kọ́nà bá ń dúró tiẹ̀ láti bí ọdún 4 láti jọ wà lórí ìrìn àjò yìí. Àwọn kan lè máa ní Koiki, bọ̀ kí ló dé tẹ ṣe ń jẹ́ kí kíní pẹ́? Mo fẹ́ máa fọwọ́ kan post in tí mo máa sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí pẹ̀lú Starr radio kí n má get carried away. Àwọn kan lè máa ní bọ̀ kí ló dé ta ṣe jẹ́ kí ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation tó ń pẹ́? Ẹlòmíì gan máa ní ṣèbọ̀ òun ti sàn kankan fún yín tẹ́lẹ̀, ó ní ọ̀kan tó post tó send message sí mi. Mo máa ń like tẹ́ bá send feedback. Ògúnmọ́lá Abíọ́dún, mo kí ẹ brother mi, kò ní bàjẹ́ fún ẹ. Mo kí ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ti ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí Facebook, ẹ gbọ́ wọlé share button. So injustice pọ̀ nínú Nàìjíríà, bọ̀ ṣe rí mo fẹ́ máa start Starr radio díẹ̀díẹ̀ ni o, because ẹ rí bá ṣe máa ń ṣe nìyẹn. Ẹ̀yin àwọn polówó nísìn. Step. Hi guys, this is your friend Urush from Sendwave. So, Sendwave is a money transfer ilé-iṣẹ́ kan lélẹ́yìn náà tó ń ṣe dáadáa. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà Nàìjíríà náà, ó jẹ́ kẹ́yìn náà ní ilé-iṣẹ́ tó ní ages. Mo kí ẹ dáadáa brother mi, ẹ̀gbọ́n mi dáadáa. Mo ní máa dé Belgium. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n reduce ilé wálẹ̀ tó dáa ṣe ní 20 minutes. In tí mo fẹ́ kí gbogbo wa rántí ni pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn tó máa sọ pé ẹ má dá wọn lóhùn o, ṣe lọ́ ti sọ fún wa pé Yorùbá nation máa wáyé ní 2 years ago pẹ̀lú bàbá Kítóyè, kò wá sí ìmúṣẹ. Wọ́n ti gbàgbé pé we are fighting something that has been in existence for 64 years. And we are trying as much as possible. Bí ṣe ń sọ pé a máa jà, we are still trying to avoid pé kó dìjà. even though pé everybody mọ̀ pé in tó lè push Yorùbá nation jáde nìyẹn. So táwọn kan bá wá ní ẹ ṣe fẹ́ promise wa pé kò ní selection because à ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn pé ká má lọ dìbò because it is not ìbò la need. Ẹ má bínú because mo láti máa write nǹkan kan náà. Join me at 11. Àbúrò mọ̀ yé nísìn mo dẹ̀ ṣe ní spare phone kan tí mo ṣe lè sáré lò náà ti gbà pé mo ní studio number mi náà. Ọlọ́run kò fi wá lọ́kàn balẹ̀ kò easy láti máa kó gbogbo phones báyìí jáde torí pé tábà ti sí nínú ilé mo ṣe ní spare phone kan yẹ ká ṣe ní spare phone kan. Àárọ̀ yìí mo bẹ́ jáde ni because tíyàn bá ti miss train tó fẹ́ wọ̀ àbí bus tó fẹ́ wọ̀ nílùú yìí ó lè disorganize to start the morning. Ṣé mo mú ṣá níbi tí mo ti ń charge phone nínú ilé láàárọ̀ yìí? I'm not sure pé mo mú yẹn. That would have given us the Koikimedia Odùduwà Facebook. All right, mo rò pé mo mú. Ó dà pé mo mọ̀ kúrò. Mo ń charge ní yàrá lókè. Mo rántí mu nínú ibi tí mo ti ń charge. It's okay. Màá post gbogbo àwọn videos yẹn later tí bá délé anyway. So now bí ṣe ń sọ lọ, ṣe rí àwọn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ tán ní Yorùbá nation. Bàbá Akíntóyè sọ pé ó máa wáyé ká tó ṣe election kò wá sí ìmúṣẹ. Wọ́n ti gbàgbé pé entity tó ń pè ní Nàìjíríà 64 years ló ti fi ń exist. 64 nínú ẹ̀ ó ní sójà tiẹ̀, ó ní ọlọ́pàá tiẹ̀, ó ní DSS, ó ní many other security agencies, ó ní structure tiẹ̀. Structure yẹn la fẹ́ bring down, and structure ta fẹ́ bring down a fẹ́ gbà sí gbàs báyìí ká gbà sí gbàs báyìí kó kọ̀ dàwó lé àwọn èèyàn wa lórí kó pa àwọn èèyàn rẹpẹtẹ. Ẹ ti gẹ̀ẹ́tì kan tí mo sọ. A fẹ́ jẹ́ kó dàwó débi pé ó máa mú ẹ̀mí tó pọ̀ lọ. Kò ń ṣe pé àti da Nàìjíríà rú before the election pé kò possible. Àti bàǹkan jẹ́ òun ló easy jù. But ǹjẹ́ tá bá bàjẹ́ débi pé àwọn tí a fẹ́ bàjẹ́ lé lórí tí wọ́n bá gbọ́ àgbọ́yé ǹjẹ́ wọ́n ní sọ fún wa pé kí ló ń ṣe wá? Because that was exactly what people were expecting. Because ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èèyàn expect pé bá ṣe ń sọ pé Yorùbá nation máa wá sí ìmúṣẹ tó dẹ̀ máa wá lágbára Ọlọ́run pé ká jẹ́ kí ẹ̀mí àwọn èèyàn wa kó bọ́ sí wa lọ́wọ́. Ṣó wá dáa kó jẹ́ pé irú èmi àti ẹ̀yin tájọ́ ń pariwo Yorùbá nation la tún máa wá ṣe jàǹbá fáwọn èèyàn wa torí pé a fẹ́ kúrò ní Nàìjíríà. Ìyẹn àkọ́kọ́. So now tí àwọn èèyàn ti wá satisfy conscience wọn, ẹ gbọ́ mi dáadáa o torí èmi máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ pẹ̀lú fact. Because àwọn tó disagree pẹ̀lú wa wọ́n pọ̀ díẹ̀ kò ń ṣe pé wọ́n pọ̀. Ẹlòmíì disagree based on intimidation while ẹlòmíì disagree based on ó rò pé bóyá nǹkan kan máa jáde nínú Nàìjíríà tó máa favour wa tí Tinubu bá débẹ̀. Now that everybody has satisfied themselves by concluding to go and vote, wọ́n ti lọ vote. Ọ̀rọ̀ election sínú kan tá à ń sọ mọ́ nísìn. Before the time à ń sọ̀rọ̀ election pé ẹ má jẹ́ ká tún lọ dìbò because tá bá lọ vote, tá bá ti lọ vote á jẹ́ pé a ti endorse pé kí Nàìjíríà kó continue. The continuation of Nigeria là ń fẹ́ nìyẹn. And that is where the problem between us and some of our Yoruba people nílé. Because àwọn wò pé Koiki kí ló dé tí wà tí Igboho tí ẹ disagree? Because everybody always think it's me ní Yoruba nation. No, èmi kọ́ ní Yoruba nation. Media lèmi, media tó ń pariwo bí other media. Ó kàn jẹ́ pé Ọlọ́run fi Ìgbòho àti Bàbá Akíntóyè àti pé Ọlọ́run fi èmi náà gẹ́gẹ́ bí akíkanjú ọmọ Yorùbá. Gbogbo adẹ̀lẹ̀ akíkanjú ọmọ Yorùbá lọ́bìnrin, lọ́kùnrin, lọ́mọdé, lágbàlagbà. Tinubu náà máa shake up cabinet. Òun ni headline tí ó wà níbí báyìí, but ibẹ̀ kọ́ là ń lọ. So now tí àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá ti wá satisfy conscience wọn pé a máa ti dìbò fún Tinubu. Expectation wa kò máa mú wá sí ìmúṣẹ. Even though pàwọn à ń sọ fún wọn nígbà yẹn pé Tinubu bó bá tẹ̀ dé bẹ́ẹ̀ tó bá débẹ̀ which ó ti débẹ̀ nísìn, ǹjẹ́ ó máa mú any good result wá fún wa? Wọ́n ní Koiki ìwọ ló rò bẹ́ẹ̀ o, eléyìí ò ń ṣe Buhari ni kò rántí pé ọmọ Yorùbá ni wá, Tinubu mọ̀ pé ọmọ Yorùbá ni wá, kódà ìjọba tiẹ̀ ó máa dájú Buhari lọ. Kọ sínú comment section, báwo ni ìjọba Tinubu báyìí? Mo ń béèrè ni o, báwo lẹ̀yin ṣe rí ìjọba Tinubu sí? Àwọn kan tún lè máa argue pé Koiki ó ti wà too early, kẹ́ máa try láti castigate Tinubu, ó ti wà too early. Tinubu sì ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀. Olúrẹ̀mí join other first lady at Jill Biden farewell. Kí ló dé tí kò jẹ́ kí ọkọ ẹ̀ kó rí Joe Biden? Ẹ̀gbọ́n nǹkan tí mo sọ, ìyàwó Tinubu rí Jill Biden, but kí ló dé tí ọkọ Tinubu, ọkọ ẹ̀ kò rí Joe Biden? Joe Biden ò ní rí Tinubu, kò sẹ́ni tó mọ ìyàwó Joe Biden. So tó bá ń sọ pé Joe Biden, Jill Biden ó rí ìyàwó Tinubu tó ń fi yẹn ṣe headline, in tó wù wọ́n lọ́kàn ni pé kí Tinubu gangan rí Joe Biden kó wà nínú White House. Mọ tó rí tó mìíní ni kó jókòó pẹ̀lú US president kẹjọ wa máa sọ̀rọ̀ kó máa take picture yín. Bẹ́ẹ̀ tẹ́ bá àtẹ̀gbọ́n tẹ́ ń sọ, Tinubu will never experience that lórí ìjọba America yìí. Ó lè wá possible ní another tenure, but eléyìí tó ń ṣe lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí tí election bọ̀ ní November, ẹ kọ sílẹ̀ pé Tinubu ò ní rí Joe Biden. Ìyẹn ni kò ṣe lọ sí United Nations. Now ẹ jẹ́ ká padà sórí kí ló fà á tí boosting domestic food production key to curbing inflation. Òun ni headline eléyìí nísìn. Boosting, kí ló mean by boosting? Àárọ̀ yìí nísìn mo rántí ṣe oúnjẹ jáde, gbùrùgbùrù ni mo sá kúrò nulẹ̀, but mo ti mu hot chocolate, ó cost mi ní ìjọ yẹn kan tẹ̀ ló rà fún mi. Omi nìkan ni mo ní, but mo ní donut kan tí màá jẹ later tó sì lè gbékùn dúró. Àná ni mo ti rà ní Lidl. Omi wà ní bíbà. So nǹkan mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta yìí mo dẹ̀ ní biscuit, ó sì lè sustain mi tí máa fi délé. So now àti ṣe donut yìí ẹ ní di flour tá à ń lò Ukraine ló ti ń gbé wá. Ìjà tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ Ukraine àti Russia ó ń affect wheat káàkiri gbogbo àgbáyé including the UK. So èmi ò mọ bí Tinubu ṣe fẹ́ boost ọ̀rọ̀ domestic food. Ẹ jẹ́ ká padà sí kí ló dé tí Yorùbá nation ò tí wá sí ìmúṣẹ. Mo kí iSyn TV brother mi àtàtà kú iṣẹ́ takuntakun. Mo kí Pavilion, mo kí ẹ̀yin tí ẹ̀ ń lo program wa tẹ́ ṣe ń ṣe analysis, torí pé ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n ni gbogbo wa. Èmi lè gbé kalẹ̀ káwọn kan sọ pé bó ṣe ń sọ yẹn kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀, káwọn kan tún lò kó jẹ́ pé ó máa yí àwọn èèyàn wa dáadáa. So now expectation àwọn èèyàn ni pé ó yẹ ká ti pull out kúrò ní Nàìjíríà, bọ̀ kò gbọdọ̀ sí ìtàjẹ̀ sílẹ̀. Ó yẹ kí bàbá Akíntóyè ti gbé wa kúrò ní Nàìjíríà, but a gbọdọ̀ ní ìtàjẹ̀ sílẹ̀. Ẹ gbọ́ mi dáadáa. Kódà nídìí ilé tiẹ̀ gangan ṣé tí ìjà bá ṣẹlẹ̀ tó ní nǹkan ṣe pẹ̀lú property, ǹjẹ́ wọ́n tí gbọ́ pé ó mú ìtàjẹ̀ sílẹ̀ wá? Ǹjẹ́ kò sí family náà? Èmi mọ̀ tèmi sọ nípa family tọ̀dọ̀ tiẹ̀. Kò sí family kankan nílẹ̀ Yorùbá lénìí tí àwọn kan ní property tó ń ṣe property kékeré, tí bàbá tó ní property yẹn wá ṣaláìsí, tí kò ní mú ìjà sílẹ̀ láàrin gbogbo wa. Tí àwọn kan ní mú kọ́ sàsíyín pé kó má bàa rí property yẹn jẹ. Ta fẹ́ gbà kúrò lọ́wọ́ Nàìjíríà tí kò fẹ́ release fún wa. Kò fẹ́ release ilẹ̀ wa fún wa because òun kọ́ ló ní ilẹ̀ là ń sọ yìí. We are talking about the land là ń sọ yìí. À ń sọ̀rọ̀ èmi ò mọ how many square kilometres àbí how many miles, but we are talking from Kwara State, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ni, kò ń ṣe ilẹ̀ Haúsá. Kogi State, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ni. Ekiti State, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ni. Ondo State, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ni. Ọ̀ṣun State, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ni. Ọ̀yọ́ State, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ni. Ogun State, Lagos State, interfaith gbà lọ́wọ́ Nàìjíríà nìyẹn. Ẹ wá sọ fún wa pé kò gbọdọ̀ sí ìtàjẹ̀ sílẹ̀ nìkan tí wọ́n ti ń lò. Ó gbọ́ mi yé? Kò sẹ́ni tí kò ní kankan tó fúnyàn tó ní fẹ́ dá padà. Mo sọ nípa ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ọmọ Ìgbò tá kọ́kọ́ máa ń tákù. Mo ní àwa náà gbé ṣọ́ọ̀pù fún ọmọ Ìgbò kan tí bàbá tó bí mi, ó fún àwọn ìyàwó ẹ̀ ní ṣọ́ọ̀pù tó ń lò. mọ̀mísí mi ò dẹ̀ sí nlé, mo sọ fún yín pé mọ̀mísí mi ti kúrò Nàìjíríà for more than, èmi ti kúrò nlé nísìn 24 years, mọ̀mísí mi ti lọ before èmi, àwọn tí ń lọ lo bí 30 years. mọ̀mísí mi kọ́ tó wá travel ni wọ́n ti gbé ṣọ́ọ̀pù yẹn fún arákùnrin náà, ọmọ Ìgbò ni, ṣe mọ̀ pé ó dẹ̀ ti transfer fún èèyàn bíi 4. àwa ló dá, àwa la nílẹ̀, àwa la ní ṣọ́ọ̀pù, ṣèbáwa la ní ṣọ́ọ̀pù, ẹni tó ní ṣọ́ọ̀pù ló máa mọ tó máa ṣe. àwa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí communicate, àná fẹ́ gba ṣọ́ọ̀pù wa padà. mo kàn fẹ́ kẹ́ wo how difficult it is pé ká kúrò ní Nàìjíríà, kò ní jẹ́ nǹkan tó máa easy, but à ń bẹ Ọlọ́run pé kó ṣe kó easy, kí àṣìṣe pọ̀ lọ́dọ̀ tiwọn ju pé kí àwa jẹ́ pé àwa la máa mú wàhálà tó pọ̀ jù sílẹ̀. because expectation àwọn èèyàn ni pé Koiki àti Igboho àwọn ló máa dá wàhálà sílẹ̀ nínú Nàìjíríà. now àwa sọ fún arákùnrin yẹn pé a need ṣọ́ọ̀pù wa padà, ó yí wa bórobòro, agbé wa lọ báyìí, agbé wa lọ báyìí. àwa sọ fún pé ṣé mọ̀ pé àwa la ní ṣọ́ọ̀pù yẹn, a dẹ̀ ta fún ẹ, ẹ mọ̀ pé nǹkan tẹ̀yìn ti tà ó yàtọ̀ sí nǹkan ta ní arẹ́ǹtẹ̀ ni, àtàlẹ̀ Yorùbá fún Nàìjíríà, Nàìjíríà rẹ́ǹtì ilẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ wa ni, ó dẹ̀ ti di dandan pé ká lè kúrò lórí ilẹ̀ wa. bó bá ṣe wá fẹ́ lé yẹn, ó máa nídìí a lot of ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n kó gbé ọpọlọ kalẹ̀, kó má bàa di sùrùtù, kó má bàa di iṣu atayanyan, kó má bàa di pé ká bọ́ sórí M1 tẹ́ máa bẹ̀ wá tàbí gbọ́. òun ni process tá à ń bá bọ̀ láti ilẹ̀, pé ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation kó má bàa dìjà, kó má la ṣe ń bá gbogbo oríṣiríṣi èèyàn sọ̀rọ̀, àbáwọn Afẹ́nifẹ́re sọ̀rọ̀, àwọn kan gbọ́nu wọn, àwọn kan náà wọn gbọ́, àwọn Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn kan náà wọn bá wá ṣe. wọ́n ní kò sí kankan tó kàn wọ́n pẹ̀lú Yorùbá nation, àmọ́ ìyà ń jẹ wọ́n látara pé security outlet ni wọ́n ò ní gìtá. tó bá mọ tán pè ní gìtá, ìbọn ló ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀. torí pé lómi tá bá ní gìtá nísìn làákàyè ẹ̀ kò yé, torí pé ìbọn kan tí a lè máa sọ lórí social media, ojoojúmọ́ ló ń sọ̀rọ̀ ìbọn. Amẹ́ríkà ń kó ìbọn fún àwọn Israel kó fi jà, kó fi defend ilẹ̀ wọn. wọ́n ń kó ìbọn àti èròjà rẹpẹtẹ tó pọ̀ in millions of dollars wọ́n kó fún Ukraine. so ẹlòmíì tó bá ń gbọ́ pé à ń sọ̀rọ̀ ìbọn, ṣe lè máa ń freak out, ìbọn bíi ti báwo. nígbà táwọn ọ̀dẹ̀ ní ìbọn ta fẹ́ fi jà, a ní nǹkan èròjà ta fẹ́ fi jà, a kọ́kọ́ gbọ́dọ̀ tu àwọn èèyàn wa nínú pé ọ̀rọ̀ Nàìjíríà ó rẹ́ǹtì ilẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ wa ni, a dẹ̀ fẹ́ gbalẹ̀ yẹn padà. nígbà tá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń bá arákùnrin tó ń bẹ níbẹ̀ ta gbé ṣọ́ọ̀pù fún, ẹ mọ̀ kó ti gbé fún yàn 4 nísìn, ó ti di àtọwọ́dọ́wọ́. number 1, ẹni tí tó ń lo ṣọ́ọ̀pù yẹn ní any business pẹ̀lú ẹ̀, because òun kọ́ la gbé ṣọ́ọ̀pù fún. ẹni táwa gbé ṣọ́ọ̀pù fún gangan ó dẹ̀ sì wà láyé, kò tí ì kú. tádẹ̀jọ́ ọmọ Yorùbá, ẹ lè imagine kí la bá fà. a kọ́kọ́ sọ fún pé fún ọdún 4 a fún ní 4 years. ọ̀rọ̀ tí mò ń sọ ìkànnì ṣọ̀rọ̀ recently o, bí a 4 years la fún ni o, bí a 2 years ni o. a ní kó má tẹ̀, kò tẹ̀, number 1 kò tẹ̀ fún wa lówó. àbúrò mi tó ń gbowó lọ́wọ́ wọn ní shop, a sọ fún yẹn pé tó bá bí ẹ̀dá kó gbowó lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀, tún lọ gbowó lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀, bóyá ìwọ la máa kọ́kọ́ tì mọ́lé. bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo sọ fún yín pé àbúrò mi tó tẹ̀lé mi pé àkọ́kọ́ tì wọ́n mọ́lé náà, ìwọ lọ gbowó lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀, bóyá abẹ́ níṣẹ́ kó gbowó lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀, má gbowó kankan lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ mọ́. tó o bá ti gbowó lọ́wọ́ ṣọ́ọ̀pù yẹn, à á sọ fún pé bàbá wa ló lílẹ̀ yìí tó kọ́ ṣọ́ọ̀pù yìí tó gbé fún mọ́mísí wa. ìyẹn la kọ́kọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí fà. àwa nígbà tá a ti wọ́n nìyẹn pé tó bá gbowó lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀, a máa fọlọ́pàá mú wọ tó jábúrò mi, àti ẹ̀ mọ́lé. ìyẹn mo ṣe sọ pé a sì máa tìka bọ́ra wa lójú nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ká tó fẹ́ sọ pé a máa lọ. if not, à ń ṣeré pani àìtífẹ́ lọ. nígbà tá a ti kọ́kọ́ wọ́n nìyẹn, tíyẹn ti wà wí ẹ̀ pé kò ní gbowó lọ́wọ́ wọn, a wá sọ fún bọ̀bọ́ yẹn pé a fún ẹ ní ọdún 2, gbogbo tó bá ṣe sínú ṣọ́ọ̀pù yẹn ọdún 2 kò fi palẹ̀ mọ́ ẹ̀. eré ló rò pa ń ṣe. ó rò pé torí àwa labroad pé kò sí nǹkan tá a lè ṣe. ẹ mọ̀ pé ìtẹ́ wá wà lé nígbà míì ẹ máa ní kí lẹ lè ṣe, èyí tẹ́ wà labroad. òun lọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation. ṣé ẹ expect pé irú àwa kan máa dìde báyìí, àwa tá à ní compromise, àwa tí wọ́n máa sọ fún pé wọ́n máa ti fún yín lówó níṣẹ́ máa dákẹ́, ṣẹ́rí pé kò work out. Ìgbòho tó bá ti fún lówó máa dákẹ́, ṣẹ́rí pé kò work out. mo ti bá bàá mi sọ̀rọ̀ láàárọ̀ yìí. now ìyẹn wá ń lọ bẹ́ẹ̀, ẹ wá mọ ta ṣe, mo jẹ́ fẹ́ kí time kọjá a ní 4 minutes a gbọ́dọ̀ join Star Radio kò dẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ pẹ́ púpọ̀ nígbà tó pé 2 years nígbà tó pé ọdún méjì a sọ fún ẹni tó ní ṣọ́ọ̀pù tó gba ṣọ́ọ̀pù lọ́wọ́ màmá mi pé ọdún méjì ta fún ẹ ti pé ṣé o sì wà níbẹ̀ àbó ìtì sí níbẹ̀ mọ́ ó ní ká tún fún un ní oṣù mẹ́fà àníṣe oṣù mẹ́fà la fún ànódà tún lò ó ẹ mọ̀ pé àwọn ọmọ Ìgbò àwọn máa ń rò pé àwọn gbọ́n mo understand gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ máa ń sọ pé Koiki má bá Ìgbò ṣe bọ̀ lórí ìrìn àjò Yorùbá nation lórí pé àwọn fẹ́ lọ àwa náà fẹ́ lọ òun lájọ dúró lé lórí èmi ò ní fún àwọn Simon Nepa láṣìírí tiwa àwọn náà dẹ̀ ní fún mi ní tiwọn bọ̀ pé wọ́n fẹ́ lọ lórí Yorùbá wọ́n fẹ́ kúrò ní Nàìjíríà tí ó ń rẹ́ǹtì ilẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ wa òun lájọ dúró lé lórí alliance ló ń pè yẹn ẹ kàn lè imagine ẹ kàn máa process ẹ pé kí ni Koiki àti màmá ẹ lè ṣe fún ọmọ Ìgbò tó gba ṣọ́ọ̀pù lọ́wọ́ wọn tó fi dípò kúrò níbẹ̀ ẹ kàn think of it every goddamn thing la lò gbogbo ta lè lò padà la lò bí ṣe ń sọ fún yín báyìí ṣọ́ọ̀pù yẹn ti padà sọ́wọ́ mọ̀mísí mi ò dẹ̀ kúrò ní UK èmi ò kúrò ní UK ká fi gba ṣọ́ọ̀pù yẹn lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ ṣèyí tẹ̀ ń sọ fún wa pé Yorùbá nation ò ní wá sí ìmúṣẹ kò ń ṣe agbára tèmi kò ń ṣe agbára Ìgbòho kò ń ṣe agbára bàbá Akíntóyè agbára ìtónilẹ̀ Yorùbá ó máa gbalẹ̀ kúrò lọ́wọ́ Nàìjíríà torí Nàìjíríà rẹ́ǹtẹ̀ ni rental services ni ó rẹ́ǹtẹ̀ kúrò lọ́wọ́ wa ni ó dẹ̀ ti di dandan ká gbà kúrò lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo sọ ó rẹ́ǹtẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ wa ni a dẹ̀ máa gbà kúrò lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ whether he likes it or not gbogbo ẹni tó bá ń jẹ nínú Nàìjíríà ẹ túbọ̀ jẹ́ dáadáa the end of Nigeria ní gbogbo àjọ wà torí pé a bẹ̀ yín a rọ̀ yín pé ẹ má ti ọ̀rọ̀ sentiment pé ọmọ wa ni kò ní ṣèdí bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ká lọ gbélẹ̀kẹ̀ sí di Peter Obi ká gbélẹ̀kẹ̀ sí àti gbélẹ̀kẹ̀ sí di Tinubu báyìí ǹjẹ́ òun ló ń rí lẹ̀kẹ̀ yẹn lò ẹ kọ sínú comment section mo fẹ́ join Star Radio mo ní 2 more minutes mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí mo dẹ̀ anyway ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà ní báwo la ṣe máa ṣe láàárọ̀ yìí because phone tí máa fi ń pe Star Radio ló wà lórí Facebook yẹn so bí ẹ̀yin máa switch mo ti mọ̀ bí ṣe fi ṣe yín báyìí mo dẹ̀ need another phone láti fi máa ka screen ìyẹn la ṣe ẹ ràn wá lọ́wọ́ iléeṣẹ́ yìí ó need ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ equipment láti lè máa fi ṣiṣẹ́ tí bá wà nílé is a different ball game tí bá wà níta is a different thing entirely bá dúpẹ́ fún gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ̀ ń fi ìrànlọ́wọ́ sí wa so Archie ti wà lórí ètò.
A man 18 has been charged with murdering a
So
schoolboy.
mo máa join ẹ̀ láìpẹ́ so mo kàn fi post 1 or 2 more stories tí mo fẹ́ fi ìpàlẹ̀ sọ lọ́wọ́ láàárọ̀ yìí so gbogbo ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa ẹ jẹ́ ká máa dúpẹ́ fọ́lọ́run pé Ọlọ́run fi bàbá Akíntóyè at 89 tí kò compromise bí àwọn bàbá míì ó fi kẹ́ wa Ọlọ́run fi olóyè Ìgbòho ó fi ṣe jíǹkì fún wa pé ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá òun ni ó ní wá domestic airfares ìyẹn àwọn tó fẹ́ lọ láti Lagos lọ sí Abuja wọ́n náà ti jump by 25% ó ti ń lọ bí almost 123,000 naira ìjọ ò la fi máa ṣe gbogbo yẹn dà domestic airfares kódà ẹlòmíì tó ń lọ sí Spain ní weekend yìí owó tó ń san kò tówó tẹ́ fẹ́ fi travel mo kí Bishop Adesina mo kí gbogbo ilẹ̀ nǹkan sí so ẹ jẹ́ kí n darapọ̀ mọ́ Star Radio ó dà pé máa bọ́ jákẹ́ẹ̀tì ó fẹ́ máa mú mi lóru díẹ̀ so ẹ jẹ́ kí n bọ́ jákẹ́ẹ̀tì yìí so lásìkò púpọ̀ mọ́ but platform méjì kan máa láti YouTube mi méjèèjì wà on so ẹ̀yin tẹ́ rí Instagram ẹ má bínú ẹ má láti lọ pọ̀ mi ní another platform close platform yẹn kò mo nídìí láti tètè lo fóònù yẹn fún ẹ jẹ́ n gbé jákẹ́ẹ̀tì mi báyìí so ó dà pé mo ti ṣé mo fine ṣé London boy mo mọ̀ bí eléyìí ní Skype ẹ jẹ́ n sáré wo fóònù yìí náà ṣé lè bá ní Skype màá join ẹ̀ pẹ̀lú eléyìí if not a máa end eléyìí ó dà pé mo ti yọ Skype yẹn kúrò eléyìí ṣẹ́yìn tẹ́ wà lórí Facebook mo máa go live lórí another phone but for now ẹ má bínú mo ní láti disconnect ẹ̀yin so that ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ mi ní lórí another phone so ẹ má bínú sí mi thank you so much ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí Instagram mo máa ní láti disconnect yín as well ẹ má bínú thank you so much ẹ lọ darapọ̀ mọ́ mi ní ṣẹ́rí mo wà live another platform nìyẹn ẹ lọ darapọ̀ mọ́ mi tẹ́ bá fẹ́ gbọ́ nǹkan tí mò ń sọ tẹ́ bá dẹ̀ fẹ́ gbọ́ ẹ kò ṣe problem ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá fẹ́ gbọ́ ẹ lọ darapọ̀ mọ́ mi. Thank you so much. Koikimedia ní YouTube yẹn àbí kẹ́ lọ sórí Facebook mi a máa go live lórí Facebook nísìn náà ọ̀ kẹ́ ṣe kí ni kẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí YouTube wa tó jẹ́ WD backup. Ẹ ṣé gan ni, thanks so much. So I can now have a spare phone láti fi go live. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tó kù náà ẹ àníṣe lásán. So ẹ jẹ́ ká mo ń bọ̀. Yo, what's going on? Sorry? Yeah, I'm just by the service. Well, inside the service itself, because I'm going to join my studio now. What happened? What's your ETA? Oh, so we're just... All right, that's fine. All right. All right, that's fine. So I'm going to just join the radio now. When I finish, I'll call you back. All right, bye-bye. Bye. So, mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí. So, ẹ jẹ́ ká join the studio. So, mo mọ̀ fóònù wo ló máa ń fast. Dáhùn pé lè ní máa lò fún Facebook. The problem tí máa ń kàn ní ni pé tí bá go live lórí Facebook lórí àwọn ilé kò ń fún mi ní opportunity láti cross post it. I don't know why. So, ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ live lórí Starr Radio nísìn. Ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ. Tàbá dẹ̀ parí a máa continue ibi tá a bá rọ̀ dé láàárọ̀ yìí. Mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí o. Ọlọ́run ní dààmú wa. Torí Nàìjíríà ìdààmú ló jẹ́ fún wa. Ó ti dààmú gbogbo wa. Ó ti dààmú ọmọdé, ó ti dààmú àgbàlagbà.
For your facials, beauty exfoliating, prepping, and lifting, then contact JN Spa on 00233 244 941 002 or 00233 2006 06386, and they will be right there on time. JN Mobile Spa, your health and beauty needs at your doorstep. Okay, welcome back to the program. This is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, and I can tell you shortly I've got our own Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Yes, I'm ready to fire on all cylinders, and let me go to him straight, because we know he's trying to take the time to come and present this time with you. So let's go straight to him, and let me say, Yomi, good morning.
Well, it is a very beautiful good morning from you, from again, one of the services on the motorway where we've just pulled over, and right in front of the screen is the electric vehicle charging port, which are the Tesla. I'm not in the Tesla, I gotta say that, but as you can tell, there's about 2, 4, 6, almost 5 Teslas all charging right there and there. As you can see, the woman is just trying to get into the vehicle. And that means that for every time that you are moving and the battery in your vehicle, like your battery cell on your mobile phone is going down, you can just pull over by the pointer of the Tesla telling you that you are just 20 minutes, 50 minutes to where you can charge. And that means if you don't have electricity like Nigeria, you will not be able to do exactly what you're watching on the screen. So I'm going to come back to myself and I say good morning to you again, Mr. Archie. A very good morning to all our listeners and viewers from around the world, and those that have joined us on all other platforms. Good morning and welcome to the Thursday edition of the Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. And as much as we want, the September is winding down.
Yeah, September is running very fast. I was saying it earlier on. But what an interesting one. We have Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Bishop Adexina, it says kudos to you, sir, and to all your colleagues at the RBS office in Lagos, Nigeria. We salute you all. But interestingly, you just showed us a picture of the charging points in on the M25 motorway around that side. Some of the stations there, and then we have all that. Now, Nigeria, I think they are going to be going for that. Is it that environmental conference? What do they call it? This one will be called what?
Well, we see how far. I know when you talk about climate change, what I tend to ask is, do we first become a very powerful nations in Africa before we talk about climate, or do we work with the climate? Because truly and truly, it is having a big impact when you look at some of the activities. But when China, India are not doing much, to curb the climate of the environment, then the question is, should Nigeria and other African countries, be forced, into this climate situation? And like you said, Nigeria is characterized by 3 distinct climate zones. We have the tropical monsoon climate in the south. This is the reason why many Yorubas will run home, when the winter kicks in Europe as well. And we also have the tropical savanna climate for most of the central region. And we have the Saheli hot and semi-arid climate in the northern part, which also can be used for wind turbine and so many. These lead to the gradient of declining participation amount from the south to the north. And when we talk about climate change, just about 24 hours ago, Oluremi Tinubu seeks global support for climate-friendly school meal program. Tinubu highlighted the importance of school feeding program in boosting enrollment and improving nutrition. We know that the former president and the vice president provided school meal, but it didn't go well. But as we say, the new Labour government is encouraging as many parents to drop their children for the school meal so that they can get to work as early. And I was still having this discussion with my wife just yesterday. So climate is very, very important. But when we talk about the global economic countries that are not obeying the climate rules, should Africa be forced when it comes to climate change?
That's the question we want to know, because especially looking at Nigeria's economy, it's I would say 50% or even more dependent on crude oil. So if they're saying, oh, well, we're doing electricity, and especially up to now, we've not got a stable electricity provision in Nigeria, and I don't think Africa should venture into going into this climate thing at all.
And you're quite right. And when we have enough gas, reserve in Nigeria, the president is advising and is encouraging, many vehicles to be run on the gas, which is the CNG. And I've seen a lot of Nigerians converting their vehicle into the gas, which again is a little bit cheaper, but it has to have a good infrastructure in place, to allow such system to work.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, Ghana, they also started doing that gas, and most of the cars come in, they are not gas rated, and people have all this, some mechanics, some people, and then they fix it. The next moment there's an accident, boom, and there's fire. And lots of cars were on fire when they have a little crash. So, and
you're right, and that could create, employment if we have the right, institution training people. I mean, what you look at in the UK, you have people that are trained and they can go out there. I had my gas service because winter is coming. So that means, we want to make sure that, the boiler is working, in the full capacity before we go into that. And not just that, the safety of that, these individuals are trained for 2 years, 9 months in a technical environment, in a real world, not in Nigeria where, as of the 98 before I left, up to 1995, I didn't have an email account until I arrived in London in 1998 when I got one. But many Nigerians are good in the training, but in the theory, but not in practical, because they have nothing to train when it comes to the practical aspect. But in the UK, people are trained and they can be put on the job, and you can guarantee that they will deliver the job well. We had a young man that came into the house as well because we are having problem with the electric cooker, and he was able to change the 4-burner within 30 minutes. And he was able to test it to make sure that it was passing the safety test and moving to the next job. This is what Nigeria should have created, rather than having 60% of youth moving around and trying to do Yahoo Yahoo.
Well, so what would the government do about that? But before that, let me say happy belated birthday to Bishop Adesina. It's the 23rd of September was his birthday. And he said he was quiet already. Bishop, don't do that. Next time, please remind us. But myself and Yomi, we have to sing proper happy birthday song to you.
Well, happy birthday to you, Bishop Adesina. One man that I saw in 2021 that came to visit us at Soka, at Chief Sunday Igboho's residence, after my communication with him. So happy birthday from the Star Radio and also from the sister broadcast as well.
Yes. Listeners, Star Radio UK. So Olayomi Koiki in on the station, one of the stations there. And I'm actually here in the South Studios, and we are bringing you updates from Nigeria. Now, we thought that if the government is going very well, I mean, we come in a year plus, and we think everything is going well, but it looks like the president is not enjoying what is going on. I think that some of the ministers are not performing, and therefore, there's a cabinet shake-up of up to 46 ministers. Yummy.
Well, you're quite right. In every government around the world, you'll expect that, if your ministers are not performing, very well, you should, get them as quickly as possible and bring in, those that will be able to do the job. I mean, a lot of, recommendation is going with the, with the immigration minister as an example, with a lot of reform that is happening and a lot of changes. But the headline coming out of Nigeria this morning says, Cabinet shakeup, President Bola Tinubu demands 46 ministers fresh scorecard as the lobby begins. Again, lobby is one thing that happens not just in Nigeria, every part of the world. People lobby to become, I've been reading about David Lammy, the foreign secretary lately, and it looks like, people say he has been preparing for the job for a very long time, but it seems that Labour becoming the new government was just an opportunity for him. But coming back to the Nigeria, ahead of the planned cabinet shake-up by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, several ministers and their political godfathers have intensified lobbying to retain their position. So who is actually lobbying to retain their position? And would this not be compromising, reason why Tinubu himself wanted to change them in the first place? As we know, there is a typical thing some of the ministers will be calling their godfathers to influence the president. It is normal thing, but the president will still do what is on the mind of the country, one of his aides says. As we speak right now, a year into his government, we have acting ambassador around the world, but we do not have a full ambassador representing Nigeria as we speak this morning.
Really? So you mean to say that there are not substantial ambassadors in various places?
No, apart from the one in the US and the one representing United Nations, but every other have been told to return back home last year, October.
Oh, wow. Then let us go and lobby. Maybe they'll make us ambassadors.
Well, we see, maybe they might, but as you know, there's a lot of people on the table, and I'm wondering who is who that the president will be looking to bring in, to revive his, his promises, the manifesto to Nigerians, as we know. But as always, Femi Gbajabiamila says that there will be soft landing, for some of them. I remember one of his videos that says only Almighty Allah can help this government, but maybe Almighty Allah is going to help Tinubu to decide who to go and who to bring in.
Now, when it comes to the lobbying bit that people are doing, I mean, it compromises, like you said earlier on, what the president really wants to do, because we are looking at it that if they are underperforming, and therefore the president wants to move them to maybe another department where they think they can function, or get them out completely, and they are doing that. So it's virtually going to be like a square peg in a round hole in some places, and that will not bring about the proper effect. We're looking at security in Nigeria, because the next story that I wanted us to look at is boosting of the domestic food production thing. And we're talking about security, because farmers cannot go to their farms when they know that they go there, and we have the Fulani herdsmen coming in there and destroying their farms, and at times killing them, and we have terrorists coming in, abducting them and doing all sorts. So you get it. The president will have to craft the way properly and not listen to them. Yummy.
Well, you're quite right. I remember, when Buhari came in, they had to give, Fashola, 2 ministerial posts. And it thought like maybe that was going to be a magic. But along the line, nothing much has been done. And you're quite right. In a country where, food production is a big, massive problem this morning, I've driven around, many farms in the rural area this morning, and hopefully one of the, the days that we'll be there, I'll be able to show, how farmers are operating in the UK, especially, when it comes to fruit production. But if the farmers are being disturbed on a daily basis, with insecurity, it will be very, very difficult for the food production. Let's kick on the Dangote. We ease transport costs and the food prices. According to the CBN, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Apex Bank says the lifting of petrol from Dangote refinery is also expected to moderate the forex demand for petrol importation. The Central Bank of Nigeria says that the lifting itself would also support, some of the activities. Again, all these were happening, as we know. We told you yesterday, the 297 meeting, the Governor Olayomi Koiki, the CBN, at the Monetary Policy Committee taking place in Abuja. The committee expressed the optimism that the lifting of the refinery petroleum product will moderate transportation costs and will also significantly support the easing of food price pressure in the short to the medium term.
Well, it's quite interesting because I agree with that. I mean, those policies, like looking at the Dangote refinery thing, and if it comes, and virtually supplying Nigeria with most of the oil, definitely the prices will come down because, when you are moving food from the farm to the trading centers, you have to pay for the transportation, and that is one of the things that push food prices up. But let's see what happens there. But interestingly, we're talking about transportation, and we're talking about the fact that Dangote oil refinery is also producing aviation fuel. But now it looks like whilst there are all those things coming into where we think that, maybe at least let it be stabilized for some time, and then maybe later on we see dip or drop a bit, it looks like the prices of domestic airfares have just jumped up 25%. Yummy.
Well, when the inflation is still in double digits, it is going to be very difficult, because of the prices of the aviation fuel itself. Yes, it's another very sad development coming out of the domestic airfares. Well, many Nigerians have to use the public transport to move from point A to B because not everybody can afford to go, from Lagos to Port Harcourt using the the local flight, or from Abuja, to Kano. They're very expensive. And that prices has gone up according to the National Bureau of Statistics. The NBS says from Niger State had the highest average price of airplane ticket on a single journey. The average domestic airfare in Nigeria is standing now at about 123,000 naira. And I can tell you that in pounds because I've been able to send money this morning and I know what it means, when it comes to the figure. I was sending 60 pounds this morning and it's actually giving back home 134,000 naira. That means a 60 pounds would take me, if I wanted to go to Ibiza and I'm booking early, I can travel out of the UK to Spain with less than 60 pounds. So you can imagine, the price that many Nigerians have to face. And you're quite right. I'm looking at the Sky Scanner telling me that from the UK to Spain, I can do for 25 pounds. And if I wanted to go to Manchester and I refuse to go on the train or the public transport or drive down, it's going to cost me 30 pounds. The National Bureau of Statistics last month transport fare watch says it's increased significant to about 25% hike from what was obtainable in July. So we are now looking at about almost 123,000 naira. I'm not talking about a return. That is just a single. And if you're doing a return, that is going to be a lot. On a year-to-year basis, the fare rose by 56.56 from 79,000 just last year.
Wow. Listen, it's quite an interesting one. If you compare it to the prices, somebody say it's not too bad, but the question is, our economy is...
Well, it's still bad if you're earning 30,000 naira a month. They're struggling to get people to be paid 70,000 naira. So if you're looking at a flight to Niger, as we've been told there, at 123,000, that is far over your wages, because the wages itself is 70,000 naira. Even if you have to top it up with another 30,000 naira, it's still not yet enough.
You cannot fly, not a waterway.
No. So you'll have to. I saw a video yesterday. A young man was tied to the back of the boot because he didn't have money to do the journey. Whether they have to now take him off, but we saw the video that he actually asked them to tie him as a load to the back of the boot.
Wow, that is very sad. I hope that is just, people try to crack jokes or make fun. If it's one of that, fine. But if it's real, then I bet it's not a good time.
And maybe we should add this to it. Africa's role as a raw mineral supply solidifying its misery. This is coming from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Extracting raw minerals in Africa, he said, has continued to keep the continent in a state of poverty, making it even more undeveloped. The Vice President Kashima Shettima representing Bola Tinubu at the African Mineral Strategy meeting on the sideline of the ongoing 79th section of the United Nations in New York. As we know, resources have been drained out of Africa as far back as during the the slave trade and even going into the amalgamation, and that is still happening as we speak today. I remember 2 years ago I was sent a lot of evidence of gold, raw gold, moving out of Nigeria on a daily basis to other countries around the world that we probably live for now.
It is true. It is true. And I don't know why our leaders don't look at it. That's why having a refinery like the Dangote and having other refineries, state-owned refineries in the country was something that we should have concentrated on making sure that those things are working, because we don't mine our own crude oil, send it out to somebody, the person go to refine it, add value, and then come and charge us like. And then
well, I had my hot chocolate this morning, and imagine the cocoa coming from Ghana, the cocoa coming from Nigeria, and we don't even have many Nigerians or Ghanaians that are having hot chocolate, and yet we are the one making it, but we don't even determine the price. These are the raw materials that we're talking about. So let's hope that more changes would happen, advising security first and investors coming in to get those factories in Africa rather than producing them and shipping them back to that continent.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio. You came to Olayomi Koiki on the F45 in London, and I'm Archie here, and we are bringing you the updates from Nigeria. I know that he's supposed to be taking off pretty so we'll go back to him. He's going to tell you more about the alleged money laundering. Alleged. The federal government has filed fresh charges against Yaya Bello. Where is Yaya Bello? He's going to tell you more about all that. Over to you, York.
Well, you're quite right. Yaya Bello, for those that do not know him, was the former governor of Kogi State, a very, important state, in the southwest part of Nigeria this morning. But as we know, when you're a governor, you're a president, there's kind of, immunity for you. But as soon as you're out of the government, that immunity is no longer there for you. So alleged money laundering, the federal government have now filed charges against Yaya Bello. These charges up to 110.4 billion. We still have charges for the former Ekiti State governor. There's another governor that have represented Ekiti, and those charges are still not yet been resolved. So the question is, how long will these charges even start the case before we start talking about when there will be persecution? And as we know, there is injustice happening so much in Nigeria. The federal government that filed the fresh 16-count charges against him means that 110.4 billion naira. This is contrary to Section 96 and the 311 of the Penal Code Law Cap 89, the law of the Northern Nigeria 1963, and punishable under Section 312 of the same law. The former governor is to face this fresh 16-count charge alongside two officials of the Kogi State government, Abdulsalam Udu and Umar Oricha. The defendants were alleged to have used the state fund from Kogi State Treasury to acquire properties in high-brow areas, not just in FCT, but in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. As we know, one of the charges that Bello, Oricha, Udu sometime in 2016 in Abuja agreed for themselves to cause to be done and illegal. So as this is not the first time, but the question is, will there ever be justice for ordinary Nigerians, or would there be justice for these individuals that have taken the wealth out? Benin Republic arrests 3 men, suspect of coup plot. Again, Benin is just about 45 minutes to Nigeria, but according to the report, the special prosecutor of Benin Court for Financial Crimes and Terrorism said the alleged coup was planned to take place on Friday. The Benin prosecutor said yesterday that the 3 prominent men, including a presidential guard commander, have been arrested on suspicion of the planned coup d'etat in the small West African nation. So that is coming. As we know, we have Professor Banji Akintoye living in Benin Republic, and we have Ogbo, Chief Dr. Sunday Igboho, that is currently in Benin as well. Federal government raised corps members' allowance to 77,000 naira per month. We hope that these are not audio money. When you raise those salaries, when you raise this money, these are money that is meant to take place, but yet, it seems that that doesn't happen. We're going to take one more as we have press of time this morning. Then we're going to come back to you to actually talk about 1 or 2 things happening on the social media as we continue to review, what is happening on that part of the globe this morning. Once again, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, where we're bringing the report, this morning. We've talked about the Dangote market plan, a direct petrol. As well, the last one from here, the Cross River Electoral Commission set October deadline for the local government poll. Nigeria has 774 local government. The question is, how useful are these local government and how helpful are they to the community that they are surrounded with? Because we know the local government is the grassroots to majority of the issues affecting individuals. So we're going to go straight into the social media this morning. Like I said, a lot of development, a lot of things happening when it comes to where Nigerians believe that is the only place they can voice out. Defamation is coming up, and I know the reason for that is because of the issue between Very Dark Man, Bobrisky, EFCC, and Femi Falana name has been pulled out as well. It looks like that is still trending as we speak this morning. But let's take some other news from the news coming out of Nigeria when it comes to the social media. Then I'm going to come back again to you. The Yoruba are still preparing for the big day, which is coming up in October 12th, when the rally will take place, and also the dinner for Dr. Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho. Also, as we know, there's a lot of preparation. The Biafra are still talking, engaging, and as we say, we must continue to engage, which is the most important thing that everybody needs, because nobody needs another crisis in that part of the globe. But Simon Ekpa posted, have you all seen it? Palestinians deserve independence, but not Biafra people. The Islamic State vice president. Remember that Buhari said the same thing when he was the president, that allowed the Palestinians to have their own independent country, but refused to say the same thing with the Biafra. It looks like the Palestinian deserve independence is another headline coming from the UN General Assembly by the Vice President representing Bola Tinubu, saying, and I quote, Israel and Hamas war, Palestinian deserves independence, but the Yoruba doesn't deserve that, the Biafra doesn't deserve that, the Ijaw doesn't deserve that, and you can imagine that will create more pressure. Vice President Kashima Shettima, today we are all witnessing the heart-wrenching situation in Gaza and other Palestinian territory. Justice is antithetical to revenge. Freedom is an inalienable right and a natural entitlement that cannot be denied to any people. The Palestinian people deserve their independence. They deserve to have a home of their own on territories already recognized by this very assembly and by the international law, which is being routinely ignored. You can imagine why the Biafra are saying, if we do not allow us to go, there will be what they called woto woto. While the Yorubas are also saying we will continue the diplomacy, but if you do not allow us to go, we might all end up at the M1. So let's look at some of the other news coming out of Nigeria. Then I'm going to come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie, for the conclusion of this discussion this morning. And as I punch in there, Nigerian army lied. I am not mentally unstable. And this is coming from Ruth, one of the Nigerians that was dismissed. Let's listen to her.
And that you're suffering.
Oh, bear with me. Let's take that back quickly.
Issues of mentally unstable. What is your own side of the story? Thank you very much for this great privilege, this great opportunity. What really happened yesterday was just a cook-up story, just a plan work. Myself and Abu Karim, we are in this, called the Abi Abu Karim, we're in the same unit. He was my CO. What unit is this? NSCMC Ojo, Nigerian Army Cantonment Medical Center Ojo, where he was my CO. Colonel Abu Karim asked me to sleep with him at Eagle Store Hotel.
Well, you've heard that, and that's exactly, news popping up now. After Ali Fayed died, we heard about all kind of horrendous crime he has committed. But this woman is alive. Those he has accused are alive. But rather than investigation, she has been dismissed by the Nigerian army. And that is why the Biafra government in exile always called the Nigerian army a terrorist organization.
Wow, listen, it's very comprehensive there, and it's a very sad one for this lady, the latter one that Olayomi just brought in. I hope that the government will try to make sure that the defense or the military, Nigerian military, will do diligence to search and make sure that they come up with the truth. and if she needs to be reinstated, she's reinstated. But well, listen, let's start with the UK. Now, just one question quickly, and then I can allow you to go. Now, I know that when the president came in, when he was sworn in, there's a year on, there are letters that Professor Akintoye has sent to him. I don't know whether the Biafrans have also sent letters to him pertaining to their quest for freedom. Has there been any reaction from there? Because looking at everything that they are talking about, looking at what is happening in the Gaza area and everything, they think that people have to be allowed to live their lives free from intimidation. Now, Yomi, has there been any reaction from government at all on this?
Well, the Yoruba sent a letter to President Bola Tinubu that expired, I think, towards the end of June, first week July. As usual, there is no response. A second letter has been sent. The Biafra have also continuously engaged the federal government, not just for dialogue, but for the inalienable right. The same thing the vice president is saying in the United Nations. You can see the hypocrite of these politicians that wants to go outside the world and promote peace, while inside their house, there is so much unstable peace. Everybody believes that peace is the only way and the final option to resolve crises and issues. If the Biafra wants to go, just like the UK wanted to pull out of the European Union, people were given referendum. Allow a referendum to opt out or opt in. The same thing for the Yoruba people that wants to go. One thing you cannot do, you cannot force people that doesn't want to remain in one entity to remain one. What then happens is there will be frictions, there will be issues, and there will be too much that eventually can lead to what we saw in Yugoslavia. And a lot of us doesn't want such. And when we see somebody like the vice president traveling to United Nations General Assembly and promoting peace, and also asking the General Assembly members to accept Palestinian as a nation for their own territory. But what about the territory of the Yoruba? Because Nigeria does not own the territory that is currently. According to the late legend Obafemi Awolowo, Nigeria is just a mere geographical location, and it is no longer viable in the 21st century. We can be good neighbors, we can have cordial relationship. If the North wants to hold on to Nigeria, they can do so. But what people do not want is to end up in a situation where the vice president goes out and talk about the Palestinian right, but yet refuse to look into the right of the Biafra. Yes, what they called younger they sleep, trouble is coming.
Do you think that when Professor wrote the letter to Tinubu, was there any ultimatum there that they said, okay, if by this time you've not acted, we are going to do something?
Well, that is one thing you don't want to use those kind of languages. These are like, languages that diplomacy might not really work with. You cannot say, if you do not answer us, we will respond back in this way, that way. And the least they can do is another letter. And that letter will probably then say, look, we've wrote the first letter, but if our request is not looked into, we might start looking into other options. And those options will still be to engage the international community and engage the citizens, the Yorubas, which is the reason why, there's a lot of campaign that goes on a daily basis among all the Yoruba world media and independent media to campaign. And as many people refuse to accept that because the election was probably for the Yoruba man, but it seems now that the Yoruba man is there and it has become more painful to many Yorubas. So most of them now are saying maybe that is the option that we might have to go back into.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is Starr Radio UK. You want to know more? Because there's lots that we still want to talk about, but because of time, we cannot continue. You can see that Yomi is in the car just waiting for us to finish the conversation, then he can get on his journey. So, Yomi, let me say thank you very, very much. But somebody's asking again, the 1 million match, how is the preparation going? And the dinner night, how is the preparation going? Can you give them that and then we can...
Well, the dinner night is a paid event at Hilton, Kensington, London, about 5 minutes from the Shepherd's Bush train station. There's a parking around it. If you want a dinner ticket, reach out to any of the Yoruba World Media or also myself, where you can purchase that ticket at 179199 Orland Park Avenue, London, W1. This is going to happen on Friday. It's to celebrate Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho's birthday. Then on a Saturday morning, we'll be heading out to the BBC Broadcasting House In London, where the procession kickstart at about 11 o'clock, the assembly will be 10 o'clock. It's a well-organized event. The children, the elderly, and the reason why a London open roof bus was was brought in is to put in the elderly one that might not be able to do the walking as well. That then moves into the Regent Street, straight to number 10 Downing Street, Parliament, and then we end it right at the Nigerian High Commission. Igbowo will be in London for all these two events. That we enter to Manchester on a Sunday, where there will be an interactive section. And probably on a Monday, Igbowo might be speaking to the Starr Radio UK to give us the outcome of what happened from the dinner and likewise the rally as well. And all this is being put together by Ifelodun Akpakpomo Yoruba, also with the Yoruba World Media and the Yoruba Self-Determination right here in the UK and under Professor Adebanji Akintoye.
Okay, listeners, as I said, if we want to go on, we'll go on and on and on and on. But let's say good morning once again to Anthony Adedeji, and thank you very much for listening to us. Yomi, before you go.
Well, take one comment from here. Dizzy Man says, global media know about the Yoruba nation. I said that the buying and the selling fuel must be priced in Naira. The government is considering now buying and selling fuel price in Naira instead of dollar.
Well, he said it all. You want to know more? You got to stay with us. Yomi, have a lovely day, and then we'll catch up later.
Thank you so much, Mr. Archie. Bye for now. And to everyone, have a very good morning. Bye for now.
Well, listeners, this is Starr Radio UK, and this is your African Radio.
Wow. I think we've done 1 hour, so that should be about it this morning. Thank you so much to everyone that joined us. We will get there. Let's keep the pressure going. Let's keep the message pumping back to back, and eventually something will lead to something, and the end of Nigeria would happen in our lifetime. It's not 10 years from now. It could be 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, 2 years, 6 months. It is right here. But Nigeria government, I'm not talking about this government, everybody to get government, they want to hold on to Nigeria. Awanika shake it ada kule yakuro kule malo moki bugwale konsio and shelason. I gotta keep moving because I've already spent the 1 hour of my time to speak to Starr Radio and engage you as well. We'll probably engage later on when I have the time, when I get back home. But for now, Moki Grandma, Awoneyi. Shout out to Sonke, Spark Lizzie, good morning. Yes, we are getting there gradually. Like I was saying before I go, a lot of people were like, but Koiki, a promise one Yoruba nation 2 years ago. Kilo Shele, what went wrong? Remember that we are in Nigeria for 64 years. I'm sure you understand what I mean by that. So breaking it now that we wanted to do, we can't stop people not to go and vote. If we wanted to stop them, it would create violence, and that means Ama attack. So when some of you are coming out to say, oh, Igbowo, ati Babakitoye, ati Koikimedia, ati Igbowo àwọn media toku, eni amagba Yoruba nation, kò tí wá sí ìmúṣẹ. Many countries around the world doesn't want Nigeria to break. That is the fact, number one. Gbogbo wọn ni wọ́n lo Nigeria as their pointer for all kind of things. Many countries ní gbogbo àgbáyé kò fẹ́ yẹ kí Nigeria kó ṣe kíni kó pín. Ìyẹn number one. Now, there are other stakeholders that are in Nigeria. They know that in Nigeria bá pín, some of the things that they prefer to have, they will not have it. It will no longer be business as usual. That means, number two, àwọn bá kan wà, their intention is not for Yoruba to go. In number three. Now, what do? First, we will create the awareness. We create what they call strong awareness, which is what we have done in 4 years. It's not enough yet, but it has pushed the message to an extent. Then, the next thing we should be preparing for is the collapse of the country so that we can take up. But Koiki, show come collapse from Reni? No, it's not going to collapse itself. Many factors will collapse Nigeria. Some of the factors, the bigger factor is the economy. That's economy, insecurity. Many of you might say, the security system will get better. There is an hidden agenda by the Fulanis to take the land that is not theirs. wọ́n fẹ́ control resources yín, wọ́n fẹ́ gba gbogbo in tí kò ń ṣe tọ̀dọ̀ tiwọn. So now, people have now rise up and say, look, it's not going to happen. Ẹ̀gbọ́n kan tí Shettima sọ, how can Shettima go to UN and be talking about Palestinians? When the Biafra are talking, the Yorubas are talking, but we are being told that we are secessionists. We are troublemakers. We are getting there, but like I said, something will hate something, and then the fallout of Nigeria would happen. In every part of the history that we have learned from, whether the history today, the history tomorrow, the history that is still going to come after Nigeria breakup, there will be something that will trigger. Then the fall apart will start happening. People have the right to pull out of Nigeria. We have the right to pull out officially. We can pull out. But you don't want to pull out when you don't have as many other resources. And one of the resources is you must have enough weapons to defend that land. I've told you that. Taba pull out, Taba declare Yoruba nation, and you don't have the resources. Tinubu being the government is not going to be in control. The Fulanis will come for us. Lagbaja being your chief of defense staff will not be able to stop them. They will invade us, and we can end up back to square one. East Timor. After their declaration in 1975, the Indonesian government went in and attacked them and pushed everybody back to the forest. Or depend in Ubolongbe, Lofia attack. And it went for another 30 years. And Loto, some people will be down by now. I keep telling you, shut up your dirty, stinking mouth. Whoever has anything to do yours and make it come up and then speak to Babakitoye. Don't sit down in your comfort zone and be saying, Koiki ati sọ fún pé kẹ́ ṣe báyìí. Ẹ̀yin kọ́ ẹ̀yin ṣọmọ Yorùbá. Ṣé mi nìkan lọmọ Yorùbá? London lèmi wà nísìn. I can live here for as long as God wants me to live before I die. And don't worry about coming to Nigeria. Kò sí nǹkan kan tẹ́nì kankan máa ṣe fún mi. So when we are talking about Yoruba nation, you should be involved. Not just Babakitoye, not just Igbowo, not just Iyawa Princess Awoniyi, not Bishop Adesina, not Ganiu. And I'm responding to people that knows who I'm responding to. One go me by. Need 2 years ago, I saw you by. Shut up your dirty, stinking mouth. Go to Benin Republic. Kelori Igbowo, Kelori Babakitoye. Le joko sinu comfort zone and be pushing stupidity. Tó bá yẹ pé ilé yìí tẹ́ ń kọ́ ní ìlú òfò yẹn, púpọ̀ nínú ilẹ̀ ti travel lọ sílé, ilé mi tẹ́ kọ́ ní sẹ̀lómi ò lè gbà lọ́wọ́ yín. Ẹ máa kí n tún lọ láàárọ̀ kí n lambast gbogbo yẹn idiot. Àwọn ti sọ fún yín pé ká báyìí la ṣe máa ṣe, báwo lẹ ṣe máa ṣe. Gbogbo yín ẹ̀fẹ́ wà lábẹ́ leader kan, in tó ń dààmú gbogbo yín nìyẹn. But whether you like it or not, something will hit for something. I've told you that. Then the one bastard. Ẹ máa send the message òfò sí mi. Ra ticket kẹ bá Babakitoye kẹ lọ sọ intel ṣe fún wọn. Olúkálùkù ló máa ṣiṣẹ́ ẹ wo ibi tó lọ lánàá. Study video even though pé quality yẹn kò pick dáadáa. Àdúpẹ́ fọ́lọ́run. Ẹ wo ibi táwọn bá jókòó sí, ẹ wo ibi tó bá yẹn jókòó sí. Ẹ wo gbogbo environment yẹn. Kò sí fan tó ń ṣiṣẹ́, ẹ wo gbogbo bẹ̀. Ìyẹn la fi jókòó tì. Ó kù díẹ̀ nìbọn ró. Ìgbà tó bá máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ spontaneous ni. Kò ń ṣe tá máa wá sórí program tá máa wá sọ fún yín pé Yorùbá nation ó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ lánàá a máa jáde lẹ́nìí a máa kó no spontaneous. Thank you so much. The white only don't be mad, big brother. Sometimes you got to tell them that they are stupid because you can't be ọlọ́pàá lélẹ̀ nísìn commercial unit. You can't be in a country tí kò sí ọlọ́pàá kan ló park sí mi lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ ní van nísìn bí ó náà fi lọ ra chocolate, Good morning, officer. I'm just telling my followers that I'm seeing police van. Are you going to have a coffee? Toilet. Ṣé o lè engage ọlọ́pàá Nàìjíríà bẹ́ẹ̀? Ṣé o ṣàgbọ́ tó sọ̀rọ̀? One bastard country. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin wa apàdé later. One love everybody. Koikimedia bringing the work closer to your doorstep. Life how I'm gbádùn nìyẹn nílùú yìí. O lè gbádùn ẹ̀ ní Nàìjíríà bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn àfi tó bá parọ́ fún ẹ. Yorùbá nation for life. God bless you all. Mo kí gbogbo wa o. Ẹni tí mo dárúkọ ẹ má bínú sí mi. Mo kí gbogbo wa pátápátá. Bye for now.